Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm so pleased to be joined by Erin Henderson, who is a Marine Corps spouse and a professional photographer and writer. I'm really excited about this interview because Erin has such a great attitude about pivots and starting over again and like pausing and starting. And so I think you have the best attitude of anybody I've interviewed. And I wonder if part of that comes from the fact that you had a long time working your career before you got married to the military. Is that possible?
Yeah, I think that is exactly what happened. I met my husband and I was already 8 or 9 years into my photography career in North Carolina. I was just very self-sufficient, independent. When we did meet, we talked about travel or love of travel, and it does come up. Oh, I may, would you be open in the future if if you continue this, you want to go overseas? Sure. And I think even when you talk about it, it doesn't ring in your head like it's actually going to happen. You're just like, oh yeah, that sounds wonderful. Okay, and then kind of go back to your daily life. But yeah, I think just having that time and that experience to experience that success, I think was good for me going into Korea. That's where our first overseas assignment was, and then having my child. So having that time to step back after being kind of so head down and focused on building that business for so long.
But then when you went back, it's almost like starting a business all over again. So, do you have any tips or lessons learned in hindsight for military spouses who are building their businesses back up after having to scale back for a while?
Yes. So first, give yourself grace. You're getting established in a new place. You're just probably experienced a big military move, and then don't expect to just jump kind of right back into maybe the volume or like the business side that you were at before. So give yourself grace, and as you get settled, then start really thinking about, even for me before I moved, where am I going? Like, what are the business requirements going to be, and what are the things I can do on my business before I get there that'll set me up for success once I arrive.
That makes sense. And then you were talking about like everything you have to do on social and like your website too.
Yeah, so I go in and I start changing my SEO, my location on there, building out like the location that I'm going to be on your social media, changing your locations, like anything that you can do, like I said before, going in to start kind of marketing yourself in that area.
So, how do you like when you're going into new area, how do you and what do you research in the new market?
I'm kind of just seeing not necessarily, I wouldn't even call them my competitors. I want to call them colleagues because I feel like that's such a kind of aggressive word. But just seeing what are the average rates people are charging, like in my industry, so photography, what are people paying for family sessions? Talk to maybe people that I know that are stationed there. What have you guys been paying? What are you looking at? Okay, just so you have a baseline of what to expect when you get there, because every market's not going to be the same. So if I'm charging $1,200 in North Carolina for a family session and then I get to Germany, they're like, oh, no, no, no. Like now, just being aware so you're not caught super off guard when you arrive. And then you just kind of have to adapt to wherever you are with that market. So yeah, I do a lot of research online in like Facebook groups, obviously, if you can join those in the area you're going to be, anywhere that you can pull or find information from, Instagram, anywhere. That's how I do it. I'm everywhere.
No, that makes total sense. But like, I want to, just in thinking about one of the things you said about like jumping back in after being out and then having to scale up again, I would think that one of the challenges would be staying current. So, like, how do you stay current in both industry standards and also in maintaining networks, right? From when you want to ramp up? Because I think for military spouses, that would be incredibly challenging since you're moving every 2 to 3 years. So how do you stay current?
In the photography world, for me, and especially in the States, I was attending workshops, I'm attending conferences. I nowadays you can find anything at your fingertips online. So I will use YouTube. I will like literally go down a rabbit hole. If there's something that I'm curious about or I don't understand, or I'm trying to figure out whatever this new TikTok dancing trend is, I'm not gonna do it, but I'm still going on there to see and to learn. So I think there's so many resources. I do podcasts, and then that's just like on the professional side, but workshops one-on-one, I think like people are sort of going back to, especially after COVID.
Right.
But a lot of that stuff you can find online. But again, like I do podcasts, I do books. I mean, anything that I'm very inquisitive. I like to learn things. So anything that I can find a way to get information, that's how I'm doing it. And then kind of on the personal side, I have a lot of photography friends from over the years, just from doing this for so long. And I stay in like there's kind of we have group chats in there, or I'm just talking to them one-on-one and seeing how the market's going or like what's working for them, what's not working for them, and just staying curious.
No, and you and I were chatting about our bucket list items and like researching for that and about how we just go down a rabbit hole and we thought we were starting here and then you just go and you're like, no, this is better. And I love that because I think that's how a lot of us operate, right? Is like you go in with the assumption that you know something, but then you're open to being like dissuaded or like you're open to something different. And I think that's what I really loved about your story, that you were doing one thing and you were just going through and you were successful, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, now we're doing something else, and that's okay too. And I think that's really hard for not just military spouses, but people in general, that notion of letting go. Because it's uncomfortable because you have FOMO working against you. Like, you just don't want to let go because you're like, okay, you've seen that cartoon where there's a guy like mining for diamonds and he's mining and mining and mining, and then he gives up, but he's like 1 inch away from getting to the diamond, right? And so we're like, okay, if we let go, we might miss out. So how can other people get as comfortable as you with the notion of letting go?
Okay, this is gonna, I think I might even like type this out. I think it's gonna be a little woo-woo for some. If like that's not your thing, totally get it. So find that thing that works for you. For me, it was finally sitting down because especially like having my daughter, like I was going through like the postpartum and I like walked away from this business and I'm like the farthest away I can get from North Carolina and my family as I can like in Korea, like all of these things working together. So for me, I finally just like sat down and just sat with it. And I'm like, okay, you've done this great thing. Cool. You know, you can do it. So then I was just sitting there like, okay, awesome. Done it. Check. I'm going through now. Okay, what I did, how can I use this to like change my experience as I'm traveling? How can I pivot into these new experiences? Okay, you're getting opportunities to travel all of Asia. Now we're in Europe. You're getting opportunities to travel in Europe. So I use that time to sit down and figure out for me what is next. And I can't even tell you that. I'm still working on that. But I've taken the time to take writing classes and to work, like to learn how to pivot this into travel writing, to change my photography into more travel photography. So just using those experiences for me, but taking that time to sit with it and just write all that stuff down, write my future goals. What do I think I want to go from here? How can I take these experiences and move forward wherever the military takes us next?
That makes total sense. I apologize. I'm sneezing. I don't know
Right.
what you said. But no, that makes sense. And I mean, it doesn't sound that woohoo to me because I think it actually gives me some comfort because it gives you tangible takeaways. And you're right. Like people need to do what works for them, but I think there's the acknowledgement that you need to find something that works for you. Because letting go is really hard, because I don't know about everybody else, but I hate change. I am not great with change. Which is hilarious because like, we work on advocating for military spouse employment. We want lots of change fast. But in our personal lives, I think because we don't control so much, that change can be hard for military spouses. So I think you're absolutely right in that we need to find something that works for us. And journaling, that's a great tip because, even if you're bullet journaling where you're just writing down bullets, it doesn't have to be like prose. It can just be a thought, and that's brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
I want to encourage everybody to go read your highlight though, because you gave us some really good things, insights to think about. And I think it would help people, not just because you're a journalist or not just because you're a writer, but just because you're a military spouse out there who will experience change management. You're going to experience like
Two
having to
years,
let go.
9 months to go. Where we
Right.
go?
And so you're going to experience it. So I think I would encourage you to go read Erin's highlight because she shares a lot of that. And I mean, I took away so much. And I'd love at this point to hear your closing thoughts. Like, I know that we have just scratched the surface of everything I'd love to ask you, but is there anything I should have asked you? Like what would you tell military spouses out there as encouragement about living in this lifestyle?
First of all, you're doing great. Second of all, yeah, I think it's on the part of pivoting and just embrace wherever new situation that you're going into and just be open to whatever that experience is going to be. be open to trying new things, whether it's new food or signing up for different things. And then also on the bigger side of it, find somebody, find a tribe, find a person that you connect with, whatever through whatever you like to do. So if you're into theater or sports or however you like can find and get out and meet people, find someone or something to help you get through wherever your next station is or your assignment. And then, yeah, for me, it's just finding new things that I can learn or different things I could try. Can I sign up for a 5K? Can I go like do like what can I learn here? This morning I was harvesting grapes and I'm like, this is surreal. Like I'm learning all about these 1,000-year-old grape vineyards that we're standing in and just learning all these new things. And so I just being open to those experiences will just make everything, not everything perfect because it will not be, but it'll just make the experience itself so much better for you.
And I love that attitude because I did not have that attitude when we were overseas. But now that it's behind me, I'm like, oh my gosh, those were some of the best experiences that we had in our lives. Like we
Yeah.
cannot buy those experiences because how many people actually get to live overseas for 3 years at a time? Like I think that was just, and I don't think at the time I recognized what a gift that was because I was just so mad I couldn't have a career. And and I'm still mad, but I can like in hindsight recognize that that was a special time. And the reality is it was going to pass anyway, whether I enjoyed it or not. So you're
Yeah.
right. Like those experiences, like I was telling Erin about us staying at a questionable place when we were in Singapore and, and traveling different places. And I'm like, these are not things that I would have sought out to do, but now those are like my fondest memories because they're just hilarious. And yeah, that is really good advice, Erin. I mean, you're way too young to be this wise, but I appreciate the thought. Your
I don't
laughter.
think that yet, but thank you.
You're welcome. But I mean, at this point, I guess I just like to say thank you to USA for making these conversations possible. And I'm loving highlighting all these amazing military spouses doing such amazing things around the globe. So I hope that if you have a story, you will share it with us. And with that, I will just say have a great week. And we hope to see you guys here next week. Bye, guys.